how much is that? 185 tracks. So it's quite a project. Let's hop in the project and see what we have here. So, FYI, the project is very big. It's going to take us a little bit of a time to go through that. It's also, that was definitely a testing ground with this track for the new laptop that I have, the MacBook Pro M1, because I think overall the track has like, I want to say, how much is that? 185 tracks. So it's quite a project, I can tell you this, and I can say for sure a MacBook did an outstanding job, because there's a lot of processing, there's a lot of synthesizers, there's tons of things going on, but I'm excited to share it with you. Let's start with the vocals. As you might know, the singer in the track is Griff Clausen, that we did a lot of music together, and with this one it's a little bit tricky, because with Griff is very good at a lot of different things, but what he's also very outstanding at is just to like modify his voice in a way where you don't really know if it's him singing or not him singing. So I think it's like that in this case was dramatically pitched down. So
every sky will be blue as long as you're loving me.
Yeah, in terms of the main box, what's going on, that's just this extra side chain that I have, the MD2 by Waves, just to bring up some of the quieter moments that I was missing, and then we have Distressor by Empirical Labs. I personally love, I adore this compressor on the vocals. I'm pretty much like every single time when I work with the vocals, I'm trying to put it on and see if it's gonna work or not. It can go very dramatically in terms of the settings, but I think it's like the dry. It's like I don't know, like 5-10% of what it's doing, but it's actually doing the trick.
Every sky will be blue.
It just gives us a little bit of a thing. I mean, we can go all the way.
Loving me. You've been so good to me.
Yeah, so it just gives us a little bit of body to the vocals.
You've been so good to me.
Gem Dope. Again, cannot stress enough how much new stuff you can learn from just a lot of YouTube tutorials, and especially disclosure tutorials were incredible source of information for me. I learned a lot of stuff. There's this sound level is good. You guys can hear what I'm playing. Hell yeah. Okay, well, yeah, that's...
Oh, baby, you're my constellation. Oh, baby.
By the way, a lot of stuff has been already printed into the vocals, because Griff was working on this track for quite a while on his own before I jumped in. So you can clearly hear a lot of reverb and delay printed in. Then we have this layer. Let's see what it does. Yeah, this is just another layer that gives it, like, I usually don't do it this way, but I I basically killed everything besides the mids, just to give it a little bit of a boost. And I'm pretty sure it's it's moved a little bit further on the grid, so it's basically, it works like a doubler pretty much. And then we have this part, which is awkwardly pitched up Griff's vocals again. It's very buried down in the mix, but it actually does the trick. I'm pretty sure we've been like fucking around a lot with just trying to modulate his vocals and see how obnoxious we can go with it. Like this beat.
So good to me. Your love inside.
And here's the thing, like it's in the mix, you can not really hear it, but it definitely does the trick. And then we have this very cool part, which is just extra harmonies. Yeah, all together, those parts sounds like that. Wait, my bad. In terms of the modulation for this bit, I have a little bit of a chorus, some EQs, nothing really crazy, and I'm pretty sure that was just I don't remember how exactly we pitched it, but yeah, on this part we have nothing really crazy, just a bunch of the EQs, so those beats doesn't really clash with the main vocal that much. This is a very cool part. When I was working on the track and I was kind of taken to the finish line, I had this idea for the harmony, if I'm playing this part. In his second verse. That's how it was before this idea that I gave to Griff. But then it's like when we were together in the studio finishing up the track, I decided to blare some extra harmonies for the vocals, and basically that's how it sounds, just on their own. Basically, this bit is it's like I pitched it myself, like piece by piece. So I kind of wanted to capture the idea, what exactly harmony I hear, like every single, right? Yeah, they all pitched in a very different way, but all together, that's how it sounds.
Been so good to me. I'll give you anything. You've been so good to me. Your love inside me. Oh, baby.
Yeah, so it definitely gives this very, very euphoric feeling in the moments when, because it's the second verse and we really wanted to have this, not explosive feeling, but it's like euphoric feeling before we hit the second hook. I mean, just unmute and everything, that's how it sounds in the mix.
Been so good to me. I'll give you anything. You've been so good to me.
Yeah, in a moment, for me, it definitely made a very dramatic difference. That's why we actually spent a couple of hours trying to nail it down. I just like stuff like that. Ableton does a lot of things better than FL though. Yeah, it does. It's just, for me right now, the reason why I switched to Ableton, because it allows me to do things that I was not able to do with FL Studio. Not like I was not able to do with FL Studio, it's more of a, just how easier it's to do certain like creative parts. That's what, it's just so much simpler. It's like when you can actually play around with audio files, pitch them down, pitch them up, just do a lot of creative stuff, which is happening so fast. That's what I like the most about it. But then we have this very cool part that me and Grief was. It actually took us some time to do that, but it's a very cool beat. Again, pitched up vocals, but very buried in the mix. Yeah, just very cool little things like that. Some vocal chops here. Again, in terms of the processing, nothing crazy. Just a little bit of EQ. On the pitch stop vocals, again, MV2 just to kind of bring up all the quiet parts, so they're a little bit more present in the mix. And yeah, and everything actually goes into, again, it's like this project is entire mess, so I'm trying to navigate through it. On the vocals itself, like an entire vocal bus, it's API 2500 by the U80 version 1 inflator, more EQ in, but basically just taking out some heavy low mids and just cutting out all of the unnecessary lows. And Soothe needed to be in this track because, again, there's most of the vocals by Griff, they're pitched and modulated and like in very different capacities, so it creates a lot of artifacts. So like Soothe is cleaning entire things up, but let's listen all of those things together. That's with no processing vocal bus. There's no hesitation. You're my constellation. There's no hesitation. Yeah, and that's pretty much all the vocals for this track. Let's move up next to guitars. And by the way, all the guitars were recorded by Griff. while we're in the studio. In terms of the processing, I have gem dopamine here, which actually, like, this plugin works extremely well on whatever instrument you want to use it. Like, as long as you want to bring up some brightness in a mix and some brightness in the instrument without like dramatically EQing it and creates more artifacts than is needed, like dopamine is very, very good at it. Then there's center plugin, just kind of, I think is like I take down some mid section and, well, I'm not really boosting the sides, but I do boost the sides on the high frequencies. Yeah, and just to make it much wider in a mix. What else we have here? Yeah, that's just a little loop, little Atmo thing to kind of create more dynamic in the track. So there's a repetitive one note guitar loop. So it creates a little bit more movement in the track for sure. I think that's pretty much it about the guitar. I mean, again, API 2500 on the guitar bus itself, some Saturn just to glue everything together, and yeah, got in all of the lows from the guitar so they don't interfere in the mix. And again, there is some like cool little parts like that. Just to make the track a little bit more interesting. But then we move into the bass, and we have this part, which is I think the reason this is the printed bass too. Right before the session, right before those 2 weeks, while me and Griff been working on this track out of his studio, he bought himself the hardware synthesizers. So we've been actually, there's a bunch of the hardware synths in this track, and that just goes from I don't exactly remember which one was that though. I think it was something from Arturia maybe, but I'm not sure. I would need to ask Griff. But the bass sounds very cool. And yeah, so I have max bass just to boost a little bit of a lows, and then I'm killing the width of the bass, make it more mono, a little bit EQ, and yeah, where that goes. And this is just track spacers basically getting the signal from the kick and the breakdown. Then we have this bass, which is very quiet right now, but that is a serum, basically just a simple freeze bass. I don't know exactly why I use different bass in here, but I guess there was a purpose for that at some point. The basses in the drop, that's how. Yeah, it's a super simple progression, nothing crazy. Nexus, that I barely use nowadays. The other layer, so this is the first layer. Yeah, this is just kind of give it a little bit of a more excitement on the mid lows. Yeah, massive cut on low frequencies, dramatic cut on the mid frequencies, and cut on all of the highs so it doesn't interfere with the rest of the instruments that I have in the drop. Then we have another Nexus. Then another Nexus, and another Nexus. Yeah, that's just the plus semitones. Plus semitones bass that just creates this little texture on the top, so it's like the bass feels complete all together. The bass bus, what we have here, we have utility. I'm actually killing all of the sides below 100 hertz. So the bass sounds more, it has more body, and it doesn't really drift in a way that much on the sides, because that creates a lot of it definitely takes out the energy whenever you have, your bass playing with the kick. Then we have first of all, Saturn. Just glue everything together. A little bit of a decapitator. Well, it's probably 24%, not very big deal. But then it goes to API 2500 that you probably already super familiar with. And then we have Pultec, which is incredible. This is actually incredible EQ for boosting the lows. Like, if you would watch tons of video on the YouTube, you would find tons of video on the YouTube where people try to bring up the body in a low segment of the frequencies. Especially, it's very good for the kicks, for the basses. It's just very incredible plugin, and it definitely gives you a very nice analog saturation, which is very cool. So yeah, all together it sounds like that. Yeah. Let me kill those things for a sec. Yeah, so I turn this off. That's how it sounds with no processing on the bass bus, and that's with all the processing. Just much more exciting, I guess. Moving to the synth section, but let me check the chat first before I'm going any further. I'd like to see him making the track from scratch. Maybe one day, but I'm just extremely busy right now with the Alpha 9 album. Really don't have the time for that. I would love to at some point, though. Arty, I have been listening to so many of your old remixes. Me too. Most recently, I've been going through some of my old stuff. All that reverb stressed me out, but here's the thing, though. All the reverb that you see, it's just it's automated. It's just for transitions, like before the drops and before the next breakdown, just to make the transitions a bit smoother. What my opinion about the new hardware plugin, Space Control? I have no idea what is that. I didn't see it. I'll check it out though. Is it any good? It's more about execution than organization sometimes. Yeah, that's very true. But I try to organize this project as much as I could, but you have to remind yourself that it's the first track that I did in Ableton, so I'm still figuring out what's the best workflow for me in terms of the setting up the instrument buses and etc. etc. I'm still trying out a lot of things with Ableton, so it's like from track to track is very inconsistent in a way how everything is organized or what kind of plugins I'm using. Very really incredible vocal edits. Thank you, my man. Thank you. Did I grow up already having a very strong contact with music? Yeah. I mean, I was going to music school for 7 years. I was studying piano, choir vocals, and a bunch of the other cool stuff. I definitely prefer FabFilter EQ over Ableton EQ. I think it's cleaner. It has much more. It gives me much more controls. There's a dynamic EQing, which is an incredible feature that I don't think is like I used in this specific project, but just for the sake of sometimes saving the time or being a little bit more creative without opening Pro Q3, I'd go with Ableton. So you would see Ableton EQ and you would see Pro Q too, but just like Pro Q is definitely for more surgical EQing. Yeah, Nexus time. I mean, this track has tons of Nexus in it. I think this is the only track that I've used so many Nexus instances, like in the past year or something. Okay, moving to the synthesizers. Okay, so yeah, that was the hardware synth that Griff got for himself. It was Prophet. For sure, because we printed this part. Just kind of very cool drone. With a bunch of the automation on the actual hardware. My bad. Yeah, same thing for the drop, just with the... Yeah, and just the pitch stop layer to create that very cool effect. Same goes for the second part, it's pretty much the same, and then we have little... Yeah, I think that was coming from the Prophet too. This actually, what is this? Okay, this is just another drone for just kind of create this very lush feeling in the track, because what I was really trying to achieve with this track, because the vocals are so pretty in you know, it's like in the breakdowns. I really wanted to point it out, not put in any aggressive instruments in the breakdowns, and just let the vocals shine through, complementing it with all of this atmospheric bats and drones. So it was like, you know, it's like you have some sort of movement going on in a breakdowns, but at the same time they don't get away too much from the vocals. Yeah, I think it's like this is the operator with yeah, this is the operator with bunch of the EQ and overdrive. I love overdrive. This stock Ableton stock overdrive is incredible plugin. It's just so cool. Yeah, again, it's like killing all the lows so it doesn't interfere with the rest of the mix. And then we have another pad, which is more, which gives you a feeling of the harmony. so it just doesn't repeat the same notes again. Yeah, again, that's exactly what I was saying about the Fab filter in Ableton. Stock EQ. It just really depends what I'm trying to achieve with it. In this case, I just needed to kill some lows, so I just used Ableton 1. Then it's a bit of a tremolator, so it creates the movement, goes to overdrive, and yeah, again, more EQing. Killing all of the lows and also bringing down it's actually dynamically bringing down the 300 hertz space, so vocals have more space to shine through, because it's actually like this bass specifically takes a lot of mids, and it was interfering with the vocals. And Valhalla Verb, so with no plugins, it sounds like that. And with everything on. Yeah. That's the little pad drone. This is very cool. This is very cool sound. I think that's coming from. Yeah, again, this is the stock Ableton sound, which I find extremely cool. And I don't necessarily think that if you're going through some very creative, cool sounds, it necessarily needs to be a very expensive synthesizer. It can be something that you can find in a stock plugins in Ableton or FL Studio. FL Studio has incredible plugins as well, like Harmless and Citrus. So fat. But let's see what this plugin has. Yeah, again, a bunch of the EQ. I'm actually killing some of the lows with auto filter for some reason. I don't know why. A little bit of autopan automation, just to open it up before certain sections, and it goes to overdrive. So that's how it sounds with nothing in it, and that's with everything. Then we have something that is not part of the track. I think I ended up not using this plug because it didn't make that much sense, so we can just get rid of it right now in a project. A bunch of the printed stuff. What is that? That's just another atmospheric drone that comes from the Prophet, I'm pretty sure. Again, with those instruments, the main, as I said before, the main goal is just to create the very atmospheric landscape where the vocals can shine through. So all of these instruments is actually complementing this one particular goal. This is Prophet for sure. We printed the sound out of it. Yeah, stuff like that. And then we have piano. Where is that? And another layer of piano contact that we actually printed too with Acetyl Fusion vintage drive in it. This is actually incredible plugin for saturation. I've been using it a lot, quite a lot lately. I really like it. In terms of the EQ, it's just a big dynamic dive deep on 500 hertz again. So it's like it doesn't really interfere with the vocals that much. So altogether, in a breakdown, it would sound it like that. Right, give me a sec. There we go. It's actually pretty funny because this drone that we got from the Prophet, it was very inconsistent. For some reason, we couldn't sync the hardware Prophet with Ableton software, so we could like ideally printed it. But then it's like when we heard it in the mix, it actually made so much sense because there's like little artifacts in terms of the rhythm. It kind of like moves very weirdly through the grid, but it creates this very random feeling of, it was like kind of hardware mistakes. But if I would play all these instruments together with vocals, you'll get what I was talking about in terms of let just vocals shine through and, it was like not making this part super easy.
Every sky will be blue as long as you're loving me, loving me. You've been so good to me. I'll give you anything. You've been so good to me. Your love inside me. Oh, baby. You're my constellation. Oh, baby. There's no hesitation. Oh, baby. You're my constellation. Oh, baby. There's no hesitation.
So yeah, that's what I was trying to explain a bunch of the times in this over this session, that the reason why there is so many atmospheric drones and pads is just to complement the vocals, because the vocals are so beautiful and they're so touchy that you don't really want to put some, not really aggressive, but you don't want to put the instruments that has so much body that is going to clash with the vocals, not in terms of the frequencies, in terms of the mixing, but just in terms of the feeling. I really wanted to get some, like, very good airness for the instruments, so that goes very well with the vocals, and it just sounds extremely lush and atmospheric. So I guess that was the main goal. But for the second breakdown, we have a little bit more going on. Let me delete stuff that I didn't use. Yeah, just a simple chord like that. Again, that's Nexus with some RC20 in it. And same thing goes to EQ, just making sure that there's no interfering with the vocals. I definitely freezed and flattened this part because there was a bunch of the processing in it, because it sounds extremely distorted, but also in the mix it's very low, so you barely hear it, but it does the trick for sure. And then we have another Nexus. I mean, nothing really crazy about the chords. The processing is kind of cool though. That's how it sounds with no processing on it. That's with all the processing. And again, all of this stuff I would play all together in a mix. So it looks like there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's a lot of stuff going on, but all of these instruments, they're very buried in a mix. The reason why these instruments are there, not because like I was trying to put as much as I can into the breakdown, but kind of lower them down, like to put them like extremely low, but to create different types of the textures for the breakdown. So it first of all is like, you know, from the first section of the track to the second section of the track, it has the movement. And again, it's like the main goal is just to complement the vocals, making sure that the vocals shine through. Like, let's play the second verse with all the vocals here.
Every sky will be blue as long as you're loving me, loving me. You've been so good to me. I'll give you anything. You've been so good to me. Your love inside me. Oh baby, you're my constellation. Oh baby, there's no hesitation. Oh baby, you're my constellation. Oh baby, there's no hesitation.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of instruments underneath the vocals, but they're not really clashing with each other. Again, it's just to complement in different parts, and it's like, was the vocals missing? I just added up with a bunch of the textures, and that's basically what I was trying to achieve with the breakdowns. By the way, Trinity, congrats on your nice press from Jensen Astronaut. I might be able to. I'll try to fit this track on my show in Vancouver this Friday. I'll see how that goes. You just need to send me the most updated version. And probably, if you can do the pre-master, that would be great. Send it to Nikita. He'll get it to me. Okay, do you have any questions so far? I'm not the king of layering. I mean, that's the thing. It's I just love stuff like that, and I don't know. It's like somehow it's actually working for me. It's easy to keep the track on all of that stuff when at least like it's, you know, it's like they're in the same bus, and you just learn to learn your project. You know exactly where all your stuff is when you spend in like 2-3 weeks with the same project. You know exactly where all your instruments are. So it's honestly, it's every single time when I look at the other artist projects, and like for instance, if I do collab with someone, it gives me anxiety because I have no idea what's going on, where all the instruments that I need, what I'm hearing is just very confusing. But once you learn it, once you spend a little bit of time with the, well, not a little bit of time, but good amount of time with the project, you get on more and more handy with it. It's like it becomes not a problem. Okay, there's a bunch of the other stuff here. Moving to the drop. So this is, I don't remember what was the plugin that we printed in here, but there is, basically this printed stuff is just playing that, all of those chords. It's, there's quite some chords going on. I mean, the notes and the chords, that's for sure. So for the first layer, we have reverb, automation on the EQ, Pro Q with a massive deep on 160 hertz because I'm pretty sure I didn't want that to interfere with the bass, and big deep on those like mid highs, well, kind of highs. So you kind of let other instruments go through. Then we have Spire, which does extremely different thing to the chords that we have in the track. I'm actually should. Yeah, it just creates this layer, this spiral layer creates a lot of movement. So all of the very straight up like chords in your face, they doesn't feel the same. Like it doesn't feel just like all the chords all together playing at the same time. So there is some movement in the breakdown. So if we hear that sound with nothing on it. Yeah, one of those layers is actually, the drop has tons of layers. We definitely try to go, well, here's the thing. We listened to a lot of Don't You Worry Child when we were working on this track because I wanted to have this reminiscent feeling of, you know, very old school progressive house in this track. So try to replicate like the lead sound as much as we could. So that's sounds like that. Yeah, that's Don't You Worry Child right there. Then we go into the chords, actually. I'll play it one by one. I think there's a tons of Nexus in here, and it's mostly, yeah, it's mostly Nexus. So layer number 1, layer number 2, well, let me put this on. Another Nexus. Oh wait, this is not a part of the project, my bad. This is not a part of the project either. So all of the chords, yeah, just actually that is actually kind of highlighting all of the lead melody on the top all together. Yeah, that's basically the main course of the track. There's a lot of going on in the actual MIDI file, but it actually works. So with this bit and with all this stuff, let's just play it together. So all of those synthesizers, all of those sounds that goes in the main synth bus, which is a track spacer, just to give a little bit of a extra side chain. I don't think it does that much. Yeah, it's only 25%, and it's like cuts. It goes only up to 4 kilohertz. Then another track spacer, but that's for the sidechain and a breakdown. Then it goes to API 2500, Saturn. Then we have, then it goes to the channel strip actually. I think it's like, at that point, I just got the SSL plugins and I was kind of try them around, and that's the reason why it's on the main bus. Then EQ, killing some low frequencies and also killing some mid frequencies to make sure that there's no interfering with the vocals again, and it's just for cleaner mix purposes. And then it's piano centric actually. It's kind of like it does multiple things. It's like the way how we use it in this track is just to, is first of all, is a transient master. In some capacity, it makes the notes more stubby, and it's actually does the trick. I'm just gonna play all the things with no processing, but let me finish it. Okay, then we have the reverb, which is automated, and I'm pretty sure that just for the sake of the little transitions. Auto filter, the same thing. More EQ in, just the final me killing all of the lows, whatever has been left or whatever the lows I missed in the chords and the leads, and the big deep on 3000 hertz, just because I think it was just way too much. Yeah, all of the muddiness that doesn't need to be there. And then it goes into inflator and soothe, and soothe was very needed here too. And on the top of that, there is another gam dopamine. At this point, I'm pretty sure why there's so many plugins stuck, because when the track was done, we were just trying to go for a certain feeling, and just throwing whatever plugins that will give this extremely bright feeling in the drop. So altogether, if I'm gonna turn everything off, no plugins, no processing, and with processing. Yeah, I mean, it's very dramatic difference, and again, like the reason why it's all the plugins are there is just because I really wanted to make all the chords extremely bright, extremely in your face for the drop, because you have such melancholic and lush breakdown, and I wanted to create this big switch from from texture atmospheric breakdown into your face drop kind of thing. So moving next, we have there's just a bunch of the moving drones. Shout out to the excellent YouTube channel. They do incredible remakes. They've mostly focused on the bass music artist, but it's a very very good resource of learning some techniques for Ableton. So I highly recommend to become a patron on their Patreon channel. I actually learned a lot from them. So some horns. It's just to kind of to point out the stabbiness of the main chords and the lead instrument, just to create something like underneath it in more of a like low mid section. Go into the kick. Yeah, that's the kick with the transient master on it. Given a little bit of an attack, like 6%, and taking off some sustain, but also boosting it in the actual transient master, but limiting it at the same time. And the Pultec, the one plugin that it was the Pultec EQ that I was telling you about. So without it, yeah, it's just a little bit more snappy and punchy, and it doesn't have that crazy tail behind it. But that's not it. There's that's the full kick. Yeah, so here's the reversed kick. That is, I usually never do that kind of thing, so I think it was a Griff idea. And somehow it worked for this track, and it actually was like, it sounds very weird when you listen to outside of the mix and just on its own, but in the mix actually it makes a lot of sense. I don't know, it's like, it just gives me this feeling that something is always happening with the kick, that it just doesn't stop, and it's like, it's not super clicky and it doesn't go away, and it creates this like low movement all the time. Actually, I love that. It's it does the trick. A little break for the comments, guys. Am I preferring to produce music on headphones or the monitors? Well, I'm really used to producing music on headphones. I've been doing it since I was pretty much like 16 years old, so I do understand how to produce music better in the headphones. But lately, like for the past 2 years, I've been switching to the monitors and spending more time in the studio producing music in the monitors than with headphones. But I'm still bouncing back and forth. What about synthwave sounds? Are you still working on them? Yeah, I have a bunch of the synthwave sounds for the album, and it's more for now. It's more for Alpha 9 for sure. Yeah, the remix for So What was very very cool. I enjoyed it a lot. Simplan plus Nexus for the Don't You Worry Child lead. I mean, that's how they did it, I think. How often do I do the chord test with my music? A lot. I mean, I'm trying to test my music before I'm sending my final master to the record label. I usually listen in the headphones and the speakers, on the laptop speakers, in the AirPods, and it's like I'm trying to listen to it on every single source that is available to me just to make sure that it sounds good on anywhere, basically. Okay, well, not that much things are left here. Now we go to the drums. Just a little bit of a claps. Delayed clap. A little bit of a Kashmir action with percussions. It actually, it did work pretty well for this particular record. Even though lately I was trying to stay away from, all the popular sample libraries in terms of the drums. I'm trying to experiment with it and try to find the new sources of inspiration. Yeah. Some rides, some hi-hat loops, more hi-hat loops, some drum loops, some shakers, and more top loops. Some drum fills. Nothing crazy. You heard it many times before in a lot of records, but it did a trick for this. I kind of felt that this track needed those, easily recognizable elements. Then more shakers for the breakdown. And I think it's like the second breakdown with all the drum synths sounds like that. Some clap. Another clap player. Snare roll, which has the automation on the volume, and also it's opening up because the width is basically 0% in the beginning. Like if I just killed that, like it's super centric, and then just to create this feeling of more excitement and building up towards the second build, it just opens up. Yeah, that's what it does. A little bit more percussions, more stabby percussions, and again, all together. And the drums in the second drop. So on the drum bus itself, we have the API 2500 that you've seen many times already before. We have Oxford inflator just to push all the drums. I mean, I'm just gonna turn everything away. Yeah, that's basically what it sounds dry with nothing on a drum bass, and that's with everything. it's also like all the drums have pretty extreme sidechain, but it basically the sidechain goes only till 600 hertz, so it let kick push through the drums, because there's, again, it's like, as you can see, there's a lot of stuff going on with the drums, but if I'm playing it with the kick, give me a second. So just turn the sidechain off. It just lets the kick push through, and it's more readable in the mix itself. So that was the purpose of me sidechain and sidechain an entire drum bus segment. And then we have a lot of effects actually, but that's just to complement the track with I'm pointing out the moments of excitement, make them more readable. Yeah, I mean, nothing really crazy, just your regular dance music stuff. Yeah, I think that's about it. This is the project. Oh wait, I forgot about this little cool thing. So as you might know, this track is the cover of Chris Malinchek's song "So Good to Me," which is the actually cover of Marvin Gaye's song. It's basically Inception kind of feeling. So the only one thing that I didn't really cover, it was those little marimba things. And the reason why it's there, because I really tried to give it a glimpse in some moments in the drop that this is actually cover, and by any means it's not an original song, just to put it there as a little Easter egg. So yeah, that's the full track. I hope you guys enjoyed it.